election. Now, I tell you, earlier in March, the demand was made at a World Press Conference under the umbrella of the Ahamefuna socio-cultural organization hosted by former governor of Enugu State, Dr. Okwesileze Nwodo. At that forum, it was actually said that it was only Nigeria that champions and independence protagonists were not allowed to rule the country, and they cited the late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe as a typical Igbo and pan-Nigerian who unfortunately was not allowed to lead the country even after being the vanguard for Nigeria's independence. There are also concerns about the scheming and permutations currently going on in the two major political parties ahead of the 2023 elections. Pundits are saying that there seemed to be a calculated and deliberate conspiracy, particularly from some powerful politicians, to deny the Southeast the party's presidential ticket. Recall that Abubakar Atiku and Aminu Tambuwal, both of whom contested in 2019, when the ticket was zoned to the north, that's talking about the PDP. They are currently working hard to see that the zoning which they enjoyed in 2019 never comes to be. Now, in 2019 in Port Harcourt, it was purely a northern affair because it was zoned to the north, just like the APC also did at that time. If the party tickets elude the south, particularly the southeast zone this time, what exactly are those options for the people of the zone to convince themselves that they are truly part and parcel of this project called Nigeria? And a group of Igbo professionals, I tell you, under the umbrella body of the Concerned Igbo Stakeholders Forum, the CISF, they're actually expressing disappointment at the new twist in making the 2023 presidency, particularly by the PDP, a free-for-all affair. Just as the pan-Yoruba socio-political group of Fenifere has backed calls for the Southeast to produce the country's next president, and they are questioning those who think the region does not deserve that seat. The leader of the group, or a leader in the group, Ayo Adebanjo, he actually hinged the argument on federal character and equity. That's what he called it. He said, while the South-South and the Southwest have tasted power at the center, the same cannot be said of the Igbo-dominated Southeast. And the true position now is that the PDP has not zoned the presidency to any region despite calls for it to do so. The calls have been very loud from the Southeast, a region that has not produced any democratically elected executive president since Nigeria's independence. And for the APC, there are aspirants of Igbo extraction, but what kind of support will they get that will hopefully see one of them clinching that ticket for the race in 2023? Well, my guest this morning on Front Burner is Dr. Martin Iwuanyanwu. He's a founder and the CEO Leadership Watch. He's also a certified development, leadership, management consultant, a mentor, and of course, an author. Dr. Iwuanyanwu, good to see you again this morning.
Good morning, Ify.
And I'm sure you're always elated each time we talk about Igbos and, of course, a president that's truly Igbo. We're not saying that he's going to be a president for just the Igbos, but everyone is saying, look, it's time for this region to actually produce that man who would probably bridge the gap and, you know, deal with some of the issues that confront us today. What is your take on that?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ify. I must say that this is something that a whole lot of people agree that is something that is worth doing, but for politics, which is the main platform through which this could happen, those who are involved, you know, are just scheming. Some things that the Igbo man doesn't deserve the right to be president of Nigeria, and some think, well, the Igbos don't have the population, so let's see how we can scheme them out and continue to remain at the center. But like you have highlighted from your introduction, it is important that everybody understand that if anybody thinks he or she is patriotic and loves Nigeria, we should all be considering how to keep Nigeria growing and remaining as one. If we don't do what we're supposed to do to keep Nigeria growing and remaining as one, obviously what will follow is that Nigeria will break up. You know, it doesn't have to be violent break up, but certainly Nigeria will, you know, the different regions that feel marginalized and feel continued marginalized will think of the way out, because it's a union that in every union, the parties in that union at any point in time can opt out. You can't force anybody to remain in a union that is unproductive. So what we are looking at is justice, fairness, and equity. The Igbos in 1993, the Southeasterners, the Igbos, joined hands with the Yorubas and to ensure that Abiola emerges as the president of
At that time, it was a Muslim ticket.
And it was
Nobody was looking
yes,
at that.
yes, but you know, the Igbos feel that, you know, politics is give and take. At that time, we all worked. I was in politics then. I was in SDP. We all worked for Abiola's emergence, even though that was cut on by the military. And then, as Nigeria returned, tried to return to democracy again in 1998. So the argument was, you know, how to, you know, assert the feelings of the Yorubas, because the Yoruba man that won was not allowed to rule. You know, so the Igbo man again came up. Even Ekweme was actually the main, you know, the main actor, you know, behind the PDP. And he was, everybody felt that Dr. Alex Ekweme was going to be the next president. But for the purpose of allowing Nigeria, you know, to remain as one and grow, Dr. Alex Ekweme conceded, and General Olusegun Obasanjo became the PDP candidate. At that point in time, even the two major political parties had Yoruba tickets. You know, the other party, I think it was AD then Olufalaye, and then PDP, Olusegun Obasanjo. And it was something everybody saw that, look, the whole idea was to ensure fairness, equity, and justice. So let's carry each other along. And nobody protested, nobody insisted that the otherwise will happen. And that happened. Eventually, Obasanjo became the president. And PDP, as a political party, had agreed that the way to move forward is to ensure that, you know, the major, almost all the major political offices rotates among the regions. Okay, and everybody agreed until APC, which of course I don't really see them as a political party. It's just a coalition. So, you know, they did what they did. You know, those who are just desperate, who wanted power at all costs, who felt that Jonathan, why should he seek a second term? And then they ganged up and then brought General.
But that's what politics is about.
Yeah,
everyone is desperate.
Yeah, that's what it is all about. But you know, you see, what is important here is that you know, if you want to be president of Nigeria, you must first of all realize that if there is no Nigeria, you will have no country to be president over.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we think that our desperation to be president, you know, will destroy Nigeria, we won't have a place, you know, to govern. So that's why all hands must be on deck now to secure Nigeria. Because, you know, some people think that what the American thinkers are saying about Nigeria disintegrated and all of that, that is not possible. And that's because these people who say such things do not understand how these things work.
Okay, so let me take you up on that. You just talked about the region doing what it has to do to see that it gets the presidency come 2023. But sincerely, will you say that the Southeast has actually played that role, talking about extending its hand across the Niger, building bridges, mending fences, if you understand what politics is about?
Yeah,
has that happened?
Yeah, if you let me tell you, as we speak right now, our men who are in the field, who are contesting, Mazi Samuel Huabonwa has touched practically all the states of the Federation. P2B is doing the same thing.
But I'm not talking about moving from one part of the country to the other. I'm talking about
negotiation.
Yes,
it's about dialogue. That's what it is all about. That's politics. It is happening. But you see, what is going on is there is a few people who, for whatever reason, they think that they are afraid of the Igbo man. Okay? The Igbo man is too smart. The Igbo man is too intelligent. Would you have preferred a mediocre to an Igbo man who is all-rounder, he's smart and intelligent, who can sell Nigeria, to the whole world, and investors will come from everywhere? And then what we're looking at is how to transform Nigeria. And of course, what they are fighting over is the so-called oil, which is gone. But some people, because of the fact that they are myopic, they are short-sighted, they don't know that the oil is gone. In the international market, just a few people are still talking about oil, because there are several alternatives to oil. So the Igbo man is the person who will come and fix Nigeria again. If anybody says he doesn't want an Igbo man, of course what that means is that the person doesn't want Nigeria that will be prosperous, Nigeria that will be for all of us. So, but for me, I think the Igbo man shouldn't really beg anybody. The Igbo man shouldn't play the politics, don't beg anybody.
Which is exactly where I'm going. It takes us to what it is that the professor of journalism, talking about Farouk Berogi, I'm sure that you know and you read about him. He has said it that the two parties should wake up and see that the time has actually come for the presidency to go to the southeast. And I'm asking, should the region get it on a platter? You've just said they should get out there, fight for that shit, and get what it is that they want. How possible is that going to be when you look at the fact that politics is it's a game of numbers?
Yeah, you see, it's a game of numbers. It is also a game of give and take. That's why I look at somebody like Alhaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who I believe should understand, the history of this country. He was there in SDP. He saw the role the Igbos played to make sure that Abiola emerges. He was there. He saw the role the Igbos played to make sure that Obasanjo emerges. So the same man went and entered into a kind of agreement with a few northern elements to say, okay, we'll give you the support. You defeat Jonathan, and when you get to the office, you spend 8 years. Then the Yoruba man becomes another president. A man who thinks that way is obviously not responsible, not even reasonable at all, because he must also think about equity. Politics is not about self-interest alone. You can't govern a country that does not exist. That is what everybody must take hold. Nobody can govern a country that does not exist.
All right, are you just joining us? It's Toast 90.3 FM live here in Owerri. And we're talking about the conversation that's dominating, talks everywhere, radio, television, even in marketplaces where people get to talk about this dear country of ours called Nigeria. In a few, you'll be part of the conversation. And of course, the number will be 09150903903. That's the number, 09150903903. That's the number to call. To send a WhatsApp message is 08098 903-903. I'll take it again, 08098-903-903. Also, remember that we are right there on Facebook. We're streaming live. You can follow the conversation there on facebook.com/903 Toast FM, so that you can also get to join the conversation. Perhaps you don't have a radio besides you. You can also follow it right there on my page. That's at Ife Onyegbule. Now, when we keep talking about, aspirants who have positioned themselves to run for the highest office in the land, let's look at some of what it is that we have right there for the APC. You have Bola Tinubu, you have Yemi Osinbajo, you have Rotimi Amechi, and of course, Chris Ngige. Others are Yaya Bello of Kogi State, Dave Umahi, you have Rochas Okorocha, you also have Ken Nnamani, and of course, Oji Uzo Kalu. The big question is is there any reason why the full-fledged Igbo men who are, running on that platform, is there any reason why they shouldn't get the ticket as it is?
No, there's no reason why they shouldn't get the ticket. Of course, again, I must say that, these things are just playing out, and nobody can conclude yet. Politics is about
and 24 hours is a lot of time.
Yes, anything can happen. Within the Igbo aspirants, okay, there's arrangement in place, which I'm quite aware. They are coming up with a consensus candidate, and that is going to happen. The rest will step down among the Igbos. I'm talking about within the PDP. The APC, as we speak, Ken Nnamani mentioned is not running. Okay, Ken is not running, and Ngige, of course, is not sellable. I'm sorry to say that. Okay, and Rochas or Joseph Carlo, of course, that's not the candidate that the Igbos want to put forward.
Why do you say so?
Yeah, we have our reasons. Because politics is about track record. Okay? If you had the opportunity of being a governor and you didn't deliver on the expectations and priorities of the people, instead you swallowed the state, and then tomorrow you want to be given an opportunity to govern the entire nation, and then you think that the nation will not be small enough for you to swallow again.
But the man has a right to run.
He has a right to run, but we also have a right to reject him.
He has a right to run.
We have a right to reject him. We do.
All right, how do you rate the level of sincerity in paving the way for the Southeast region to produce the president in 2023? With all the names that we have here, if you look at the PDP also, there are about 4 names. And I'm asking the question, why will the other 3 persons, we know that Peter Obi is one who's quite kind of prominent, he's all over the place. Why is it that the other candidates are not teaming up to say, look, guys, let's forget this ambition that we have and throw our weight behind the man, Peter Obi?
No, I said that arrangement is in place. It may not be Peter Obi, it could be any of them. The 3 major actors there in PDP. Okay, the understanding is there. In fact, there are actually 4. Okay, the last minute anything can happen. They know that they must step down for 1 person. Okay, there's no way the 4 of them will, go into the field for the election. That is not possible. So, and we are working on it. We are working on it, and I cannot tell you who will emerge because the permutation, everything is still ongoing. Okay, so I am very hopeful that the Igbo man will secure the. Where I have issues is the APC, because the very trickish elements within the northern group, things that they can create some kind of confusion within APC. That's why they say, oh, they zone it to the south. When you zone to the south, what makes sense there is to say, okay, within the regions in the south, which region should have the turn to produce the next president? And that region is the Southeast region. So, we understand what is going on, and if they go ahead and then PDP produces a candidate from the Southeast, and then APC produces a candidate from the Southwest, of course, I'm very confident that the Igbo man will win.
Let me stop you there. You can be part of the conversation this morning. What you need to do is to call the line 0915-0903-903. Who's on the line? Good morning. Hello? Hello? All right, when you get through, you know what to do, your name, where you're calling from, and you can get to join the conversation. Let's look at some of the people who have indicated their interest to run right there on the platform of the PDP. They are aspiring as it is. You have the former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar, you have Aminu Waziri Tambuwa, you have Bukola Saraki, Ayin Pius, you have Bala Mohammed, you have Nyesom Wike, you have Udom Emmanuel, you have Peter Obi that everyone's talking about. There's Ayodele Fayoshe, and of course the US-based medical practitioner Nwachukwu Anakwenze, and a media mogul, Dele Momodu. He's been going round. We've been seeing pictures. He's trying to say to Nigerians, look, I am the one with the wand to actually take away some of the troubles that Nigeria is really having. Also eyeing the ticket, former banker and economist Mohammed Hayatuddin You have the pharmacist Sam Ohuabunwa and former Speaker of the Abia House of Assembly, Cosmos Ndukwe. There's a long list. You have the Charles Ugu, you have the Honorable Chikwendu Kalu, as well as the only female aspirant in the race, Tarina Diana. Well, based on party policy, let's tell you the only female aspirant only paid for the expression of interest for form, which is actually 6 million. So this conversation is heating up. How do you feel when you hear things like the region that's talking about the Southeast, that they are not together to say, look, let's throw our weight behind one person to say this is the person that we're pulling out and standing behind to say this is a person who's going to run and who's going to represent the region, talking about the presidency?
If anybody says that the Southeast region that we are not together, I think the person is deceiving himself.
What?
Okay?
What example?
We are together.
Okay.
I've said here, we are together. We have in place, a consensus arrangement, which can, you can hear anything in the next minute, in the next 1 hour. We can tell you what will happen. But, we are taking our time. Okay? You see, politics is so much about strategizing. Okay? And I want to tell you that the Igbos are together. As a matter of fact, every Igbo man, no matter where he is in the world, is involved in this project. Okay? And we are not taking it lightly. We know what we're doing. So some people may be deceiving themselves and thinking that the Igbos are not together. We are together. Okay? We are playing the game as it ought to be. We are not making any mistake. For me, I'm very grounded in political thinking, and I understand what is going on.
And you see exactly where this is going to be. Let's find out who is on this line. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello.
Morning. Who are we speaking with?
Yeah, the one is
You're calling from where?
from NCC Road.
Let's go.
Yes. I appreciate our guest here because one problem we have in our client here is that the truth is hard to see, and whenever one is saying it, only few people tend to agree or support him. However, you want to look at it, like the guest here said, we are in a union. And whenever you are in a union or in an association, there are certain principles that have to play out, equity and fairness. And whenever these things are not there, that means there is some aspect of marginalization. And any component of that union.
Hello.
So we are talking about a union here. And for you to be the chairman of this union, the union must exist before you become the chairman or a component of it. You can't be a component of a union on earth. Right now, coming down to the presidency of Nigeria. However, we look at it. If we want to be fair and we want to remain as a union, there should be equity and even distribution of power. And if any person wants to be fair, it is the time of the Southeast. The most important thing here, some people will put up arguments that you wrestle at power. It is not given freely. Yes, we agree. But this is not a physical and not an intelligence. And as far as I'm concerned, the Igbos are putting it as it's supposed to be. All of us will not be there. But the only thing is that whoever that we are presenting at any point in time, I like the analysis he made. Some of us there who are contesting these things are not senators. Even if this thing has to be done on equity basis, we must present a candidate that is senatable. It's not somebody that has run down a small thing that was given to him maybe as a state, and we expect me personally to project the same person as president. The thing now is for us to go around and we still have the opportunity of the party. And however you want to look at it, there should be understanding. Like the guest rightly said, the North is always playing politics with the South. Sometimes they sow seed of discord among these people and allow them to go and fight, just like one of the things Command Governor here does. You just gather the security operatives, throw in one bag of something, and they start running. The crime continues on its way. So that is not what we want to witness in this front. The start should be reasonable. I thank God for the elderly man, the man has spoken out enough. The Clark has spoken out enough. Then the Igbos have to capitalize on this and bring out a sellable candidate. And I believe that at the end of the day, we're going to make it, even from APC. However, they will not want to play their game. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Elder, for calling. And I'm sure you agree with some of the things that he's actually pointed out there. But let's look at this. Someone is saying that Igbo is Igbo. And I'm sure with this you understand exactly where he's going. That's a member of the National Caucus of the ruling All Progressive Congress, Sam Kire. That's a pioneer leader of the Abia State APC Caucus. He's saying that discriminating against or excluding Igbos of other zones, such as the South-South, would amount to eroding the support base of the Igbo nation during the 2023 presidential election. He says the only way the Igbo can make appreciable impact in their quest to produce a Nigerian president is to encourage and support Igbos in other geographical zones. After all, Igbo is Igbo. So what do you make of that statement? I didn't know there were Igbos in other regions.
Yeah, you may have Igbos in other regions, but the fact remains whether they actually agree that they are Igbos. Okay, I want to mention somebody like Amechi and Mwike. Okay, yesterday I watched a clip on Facebook where Mwike was, denying vehemently that he's not an Igbo man.
So why would you want to co-opt such a...
So now the fact remains that somebody comes up when he feels it is convenient for him and say, oh, he's not Igbo. But when he feels he could take advantage of, the Igbo-ness, as it were, to achieve a particular goal, he says he's Igbo. Amechina is claiming that he's Igbo. That nobody should forget about Wike, that he is one that is truly an Igbo person. And this is Amechi, who has been a minister in charge of transportation for going to 8 years now. And he's been in charge of almost all the whole loans this country is taking from everywhere, especially China, constructing railway for other regions, and didn't bother about doing anything in the Southeast. Today he's an Igbo man. For me, he's not an Igbo man, and we will debate it anyway.
All right, let's take this. Hello, good morning. Morning, who's calling? Welcome, Ima.
There were analyzed situations. What is his name?
He's Dr. Martins Iwuanyanwu.
Thank you, my brother. God bless you.
Not that but there are people who have ears to hear. Let them hear your analysis. And please let the Igbos carry your analysis to the end. There are pawns in chessboard. There are many people angling to become president who could not even govern their state when the opportunities were given. We know our bride. Let us all, we don't want to mention him because people say we are politicizing. But like I have always said, what I want is about my welfare. I'm not even thinking about the APC because already they are not faring me. I'm not faring well under their leadership. Let them take the tide now that the tide is high. If they want to use the opportunity, that is their own headache. But what I'm trying to say in effect is that among all those, both in the APC and the PDP, the Nigeria as a whole, we felt better
under the PDP presidency, as the people are angling now, whether we like it or not. We know that two of them are evils, but PDP is a lesser evil for now. Both of them going for the third alternative. Let us be fair and think about ourselves and what politics is in Nigeria. But for those of them who think that they are the only people that think in Nigeria, forgetting that some of us even went to better schools and understand the situation better than they do, they will be embarrassed. Let me use that word. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Ima. Thank you so much for that contribution this morning. You know, a lot of conversations will be going on. Before Ima called in, we were talking about the fact that someone is saying, look, Igbo is Igbo. And he particularly talked about that and said that Igbos should not lose the opportunity they have by denying other Igbos in other parts of the country. That's other regions.
I have punctured that.
And you've punctured it. But let's look at it. It calls to mind the fact that it's the same Igbos who go behind to do such things. The man who's championing this is an Igbo man from Abia State.
Yeah, that's based on what they call stomach infrastructure, you know, and it happens everywhere in the world. When in politics, some people try to, you know, be myopic because they're looking at just what comes into their own pocket.
The immediate gains.
Yes, so that's understandable. But the fact is that, you know, those who are really in the game know how to take care of such people. Even as you are mentioning so many aspirants, to be honest with you, most of those people you call aspirants have no plan of running for president.
So they haven't bought the forms?
So they haven't bought the forms. They don't even have anywhere to meet them to discuss politics. But we understand all of that. The whole idea is somebody wants to be carried along. So we understand that.
All right, let's take this, find out who's here. Hello, good morning. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
Welcome.
In the good idea of Imo State. Let me first of all correct one error of suppression. Where people say Igbos are not united. Igbos are very well united. Look at when Obasanjo came in, when Obasanjo was contesting, because of this protection, Obasanjo was a product of protection of presidency. When he came out, the Yorubas did not support him. Okay. The Igbos gave to him about 98% of their votes because they believe in rotation. And now, you have taken your job, others are taking their job, and it is not time for me to take my own job. And you say you have allowed me. While we have for the Nigeria project, what Nigeria is today, we have to build it. And you say I cannot take my own. So Igbos are united. Let the Yorubas say, now this is your turn. Let another say, Igbo, this is their turn. The South side of brothers, they are taking the oath. Who Jonathan? Let them take it to Igbo turn and let them see whether Igbo will bring out one person. We have one person who is very prominent. One person who has the capacity to change Nigeria within 6 months, within 1 year. Without that person, watch him. Anything in this world, people are watching you. So without the person Igbo to run around, when the time comes, we take them, please, take that for this person. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. He says that the Igbos have that joker, they have the card, and that they are going to play it. So we're watching, we're sitting right here, hoping that it plays out as that went due. The studio lines for you to call in is 09150 903 903. That's 09150 903 903. To send your WhatsApp message, it's 0809 903 903. That's 0809 903 903. My guest is Dr. Martins Iwuanyanwu. The gentleman who just called now talks about the fact that at the time that former President Olusegun Obasanjo was running for office, his kinsmen, of course, they never wanted him to be there. But all the other zones came out and they stuck their necks out for him. Let me take us back to what it is that Reno Mokri, that's a former aide of the former president, Goodluck Jonathan. According to him, he says politics is a game of numbers, not sentiment. The 2019 election by voter numbers, he reeled it out to say the Northwest was 8.2 million, North Central 4.4, Northeast 4.3, Southwest 3.8, South 3.2, and the Southeast 2.09 million. So he says that if the APC gives a ticket to the Southwest, the PDP will lose if it gives its ticket to any zone with a lower voting strength. I'm sure he didn't want to mention the word Igbo, but politics, he says, is a game of numbers, not sentiments. How do you react to that?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, what he said cannot work in this circumstance.
Why?
Let's agree the possibility that if APC gives their ticket to the Southwest and then PDP gives their own ticket to the Southeast, of course, you know, the fact that we have, you know, made our case known to everybody, and we're not actually making a case that is not known to people, something that is very obvious to everyone, that what we are asking, where the Igbos have not shown desperation, and we are not going to show any desperation. It is our turn, as long as the rotational arrangement, you know, or zoning, you know, is concerned, and that's something that has worked for 20-something years. As a matter of fact, this rotational arrangements was started by the MPN under Shehu Shagari. The arrangement in MPN then was the moment Shehu Shagari concluded his tenure for 8 years, it will return to it will be zoned to the south, and within the south, either the southwest or the south or the southeast. That was the arrangement then. And it was this same Buhari now, who is president, that scuttled, you know, by that arrangement by overthrowing that legitimate government. You know, so now the Igbo man, anybody, like I've said before, that said the Igbo man will not be president if APC give their ticket to anybody from the Southwest. Oh, they say, okay, the Igbo man will not be president. What that person must first understand is the fact that you cannot govern a country that does not exist. Okay? Now, it is good that we look at it from that point of view and say, look, let's have Nigeria. And then we'll think about who governs Nigeria. If you say, oh, the Igbo man will not have his turn in that governing Nigeria, you are simply saying that Nigeria must not exist.
Let's take this
and it's a possibility.
All right, 0915-0903-903. That's the number to call. To send a WhatsApp is 0809-8903-903. Welcome. Good morning. Hello. Good morning. Who's calling? Where are you calling from? Let's go.
Thank you. God bless you.
Look at developmental achievements, our contribution to the national. Igbo man cannot be overlooked. In every part of this country today, Igbo man is there and has contributed immensely to the development, both economically and politically development of that state. But I am very, very happy that this time around, the Ohaneze and Igbo, our aspirants are the aspirants from PDP side are coming together to think and speak with one voice. First time in history, Ohaneze and Igbo started on the ground.
Let's go.
I equally want to extend my greetings to the Attorney Ferry leader, who has been there. That extend my greetings to Igbos, the Attorney Ferry leader, other Yoruba, who has been there. Calm down. That extend my greetings to Igbos, the Attorney Ferry leader, other Yoruba, who has been there. Calm down. To hear the word Igbo. Then we go my greetings to Igbos, the Attorney leader, Yoruba, who has been there. Calm down. To hear the word Igbo. Then we go my greetings to Igbos, the Attorney leader, Yoruba, who has been there. Calm down. To hear the word Igbo. Then we go my greetings to Igbos, the Attorney leader, Yoruba, who has been there. Calm down. To hear the word Igbo. Then we go my greetings.
Thank you very much. This is something that we haven't heard from the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, to say that he's running. So it's not a narrative that we want to push because it's just yes, so we haven't heard to say that we really need to be careful with the kind of things that we talk about when we come to the show. Because I haven't heard that DK says, look, I'm running as an Igbo man. If a man says, look, I am not Igbo, I don't think there's anything wrong in that. He said it clearly, of course, that Igbo supported Jonathan during his time. I would think that it will behoove the former president now to call people together to say, for this region that supported me at the time that I was running, or at the time that I had to step in when my principal had actually, gone to meet his maker, I think we should support them. So it's not for us to take on every body from the South who say, look, I'm not Igbo. We don't have to put their heads on the slab because of that.
Yeah, if you are right. It's not something that we'll be wasting our time about anybody.
Because there are bigger issues to talk about.
Constitutionally, everybody have right to aspire to be anything. But politics is... it's a game of dialogue. It's a game of to aspire to be anything. And but like I've said, politics is it's not everybody who is making noise. We came for instance, game of dialogue. He knows it's a game of to aspire to be anything. But like I've said, politics is not everybody who is making noise. We came for instance, game of dialogue. He knows it's a game of to aspire to be anything. But like I've said, politics is not everybody who is making noise. We came for instance of that, he knows the game of Christianity, and policy is not everybody who is mellow. For instance of that, he knows the game of Christianity, and policy is not everybody who is mellow. For instance of that, he knows the game of Christianity, and policy is not everybody who is mellow. For instance of that, he knows the game of Christianity, and policy is not everybody who is mellow. For instance of that, he knows the game of Christianity, and policy is not everybody who is mellow. For instance of that, he knows the game of Christianity, and policy is not everybody who is mellow. For instance of that, he knows the game of Christianity, and policy is not everybody who is mellow. For instance of that, he knows the game of Christianity, and policy is not everybody who is mellow. For instance of that, he knows the game of Christianity, and policy is not everybody who is mellow. For instance of that, he knows the game of Christianity, and policy is not everybody who is mellow. For instance of that, he knows the game of Christianity, and policy is not everybody who is mellow. For instance of that, he knows the game of Christianity, and policy is not everybody who is mellow. For instance of that, he knows the game of Christianity, and policy is not everybody who is mellow. For instance of that, he knows the game of Christianity, and policy is not
Thank you. Have a great morning yourself. Please also agree that it just has to be someone.
I'm sure that you get it right there, so I didn't say that we don't have Igbos in other regions. In the Delta State, for instance, almost half of the Delta States are Igbos.
But they're telling you they're not Igbos.
Yeah, if they say they are not Igbos, like I've said earlier, you see, some people say certain things because of a particular situation they find themselves. But maybe when they think it's confident for them, they cannot say, oh, we're Igbos. So, but we don't need to beg anybody to say he's Igbo, politics about who becomes the next president of Nigeria is playing out. And I love what is going on. I'm not even against those who are making noise, because all they want is to be carried along. Okay?
And to be, to be mentioned.
Donald Okugbe was, declared his intention to run.
And
today is leading P2B's campaign.
Let's take this. Hello, good morning. Hello. Welcome, Benjamin. When you say they, I need you to qualify. Who are you talking about? Be specific. When you say they, I need you to qualify. Who are you talking about? Be specific. When you say they, I need you to qualify. Who are you talking about? Be specific. When you say they, I need you to qualify. Who are you talking about? Be specific. When you say they, I need you to qualify. Who are you talking about? Be specific. When you say they, I need you to qualify. Who are you talking about? Be specific. When you say they, I need you to qualify. Who are you talking about? Be specific. you see that they made in particular stories from Mr. What do you think?
I say that the major actor of war is and the consensus arrangement between the father, particularly from PDP, is strongly in place. And I can speak to you between now and next week, I'm sure Nigeria will be
Maybe that's for some of us who may not understand what's
strongly in next week, I'm sure, because we are getting closer to the climate based on INEC. So between now and next week, strongly in next week, I'm sure, we are getting closer to the climate based on INEC. So between now and next week, strongly in next week, I'm sure. I think where we actually have Nigeria sympathize with the evil in their Congo. So I'm not looking at to do what I'm supposed to do. I don't need to worry myself how you place that. Because I have said and I continue to tell everybody what we need to take gold at every point in time is the fact that we can only govern a country that exists. I think that's yes, with me, I don't want to decode it. Nigeria will have so much challenges now. We don't need to make other
consultant. He's a mentor and an author. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks so much, Chief.
And your passion for Nigeria is contagious.
Thank
Just
you.
keep the fire
Thank
on.
you.
My name is Onyegbule. I was listening when Ife was launching the show this morning. Well, thank you for letting me share this, this microphone with you this morning. We'll continue to talk about Nigeria. You can understand that it is heating up. Politics is beginning to take the center stage. So we'll do our best as Toast 90.3 FM to get to talk about some of these issues. But whatever it is, keep talking about that Igbo man who will lead Nigeria out of the woods. Yes, I said that. You need to think about it. Do not look at it or look at him or her to say, look, this person is Igbo. He may not be able to take us out of there. Let's think about equity and, of course, justice. My name is Ife Onyegbule. Up next, of course, will be Dateline Emo. You don't want to miss out on what it is we'll be talking about. Thanks to Iwuanyanwu and, of course, everyone else who's been there all through from when we opened shop this morning. Have a great day and keep listening to 90.3 FM. Good morning.
G.